Hi there, you're listening to the Guitar Speak podcast, produced here in Sydney, Australia. My name is Matt Wakeling, and thank you so much for joining me. Now today we have got a huge show for episode number 79. First up, we speak to Jimi Hocking, guitar player with the Screaming Jets, talks to us about the Jets touring, some big gigs coming up, a new album in the works, and Jimmy's own solo career. Next up, we then speak to Adam Eckersley and Brooke McClymont. Now, you might know these guys as very big names in the Australian country music scene. Brooke, of course, with her band, the McClymonts, and Adam fronting his own group, the Adam Eckersley Band. They've combined, the husband and wife team have combined for the first time on a great new album, simply called Brooke and Adam, and it's fantastically written and it's got some brilliant guitar playing on there as well. So we talked to both Adam and Brooke about this album. Finally, our third interview in today's bumper edition, we speak to Ian Cook from V-Trem Guitars. Now, Ian, very clever guy from my hometown of Sydney. He's come up with a new tremolo design, essentially a locking trem, like a Floyd-style trem, it's non-recessed, so it sits flush on the body, so it feels super solid, and yet with a very clever design aspect that Ian has come up with. You can pull up as well as pushing down, so you can push the pitch up and down, and yet it's very, very solid. So I was very interested in this design and went and saw Ian and checked out some of these really cool V-Trem guitars. Now, just before we move to those interviews, just want to remind you, you can subscribe to us on iTunes or Stitcher, whether you're on iOS or Android or something else. If you're just joining us, we've been running this show for almost 2 years, and we've got another 78 interviews with some amazing guitar players like Andy Timmons, Dweezil Zappa, Brett Kingman, Randall Waller, Brett Williams, Gretchen Menn. I could go on, but some amazing guitar players from both Australia and internationally. So check us out. We're on Facebook and Instagram, or you can head over to guitarspeakpodcast.libsyn.com and you can find all our episodes there as well. All right, let's jump straight in. Here's my interview with Jimi Hocking from the Screaming Jets. Okay, Jimi Hocking, welcome to the Guitar Speak podcast.
Hey, Matt, nice to see you. How are you?
Great, mate. Good to have you on the show. Thanks for your time.
No worries at all.
Awesome. Now, we are here to talk about the Radio Rock Riot tour coming up with Boom Crash Opera, and of course your band, the Screaming Jets. So that's in August and September coming up. But you guys have just finished up the Red Hot Summer Tour, which from all accounts was literally very hot. You were playing in heat waves and all sorts of things.
You know, it lived up to its name. I mean, the joke wasn't wasted on anybody. The first weekend that I think we did was the Mulwala was the first weekend we did. Great lineup: Susie Quattro, the Angels, Baby Animals, ourselves, awesome. Chocolate Starfish, and the Moving Pictures. It was a great lineup of people. But it was literally that weekend when it was 44 or 43 degrees all day. And it was so hot at the first gig that even the microphones themselves, you would burn your lips if you touched the microphone with your mouth. And there was no swapping them out because everything was hot. It was 45 degrees in the shade, basically. You know, wow, so it was a crazy run. And the last gig in Brisbane, I think that was Bribie Island way. Susie didn't go on because there was a tropical storm came through, and the safety marshals cleared the stage.
Oh wow!
So we started off in the heat, and we ended up in a tropical storm.
That is nuts.
You can't make it up, can you?
You can't, man. Far out. Great lineups, though, as you said. There was a bunch of different lineups for some of those different gigs, and the group you guys were with looked fantastic. We had
we really had one of the best hangout backstage sessions I've had on a tour like that in as many years. Like, we really had a great time. They're all good people, and we really enjoyed everyone's company. So hopefully we'll be doing it all again with the Radio Rock Riot, which is August, with Boom Crash. So, I just hope they know a lot of Monty Python jokes. That's the prerequisite, really.
Okay, nice. So you stock up on those?
Somehow, I think Alex Smith said to me from Moving Pictures, he said, somehow over the years, Monty Python and Spinal Tap has become the language of musicians. You know, it's kind of how we talk to each other. And if you don't get the references, you might not be in the beer club afterwards. You know,
might be part of the audition process for some bands nowadays. I love it. Have you guys worked with the Boom Crash Opera guys before?
I know them from over the years, but I don't think we've actually played them before. I mean, obviously, back in the day, we were touted as more of a hard rock band,
sure.
so that was our kind of audience.
Yeah.
But I think as time has progressed, you know, just because it's a lineup of people who are from the same era, you know, people will just have fun, you know, with that idea. And of course, we're doing a different kind of run because we're just wrapping up as we speak this album of great Australian covers. So
yeah, great.
We're going to feature that in the set, and that should be a lot of fun. It's been great fun and a bit of a challenge to play it because most of the material came via ring-ins and requests from radio listeners. So we really didn't know. I didn't have a final set list of what we were doing until literally we stepped into 2.5 days of pre-production before going and recording it. So we didn't even know what we were going to record. So
wow, that's cool. Yeah. That sounds like fun, man.
Yeah, live on the edge, man.
I saw a picture of you on your Instagram or something. You had a rig. It had you were playing some vintage Yamaha LP style.
Oh, yeah.
And
I've got a few Yamaha. But yeah, I'm a mad guitar collector. I mean, I've got 2 kids now, so I'm going to have to you know, put the lid on buying random items that I don't really need. But you know, I when Steve James comes to record with, so I've got a few nice old guitars. Like, I mean, old couple of 50s Les Paul Juniors, which I've had for a long time before they were expensive, nice. And stuff like that. I record with that stuff all the time. But on the road, I often take the Yamaha. Actually, I've got a Yamaha Golf that they made me in their custom shop in Japan, which is probably a few years old now, but it's a pretty new one in the scheme of things. And that's a killer guitar. That's one of my main touring guitars. I've got a PRS and that. And a Frank Rubissa made me a guitar too. I take them on the road a lot. You know, they're my main touring ones.
Okay.
But behind the scenes, I've got guitars I don't take out anymore because I see those pictures of the airlines, you know,
yes.
having crushed somebody's favourite guitar. And I'm like, that would just kill me. You know. So.
Absolutely. Tell me about your Les Pauls, because you've got a couple of 50s ones.
So I've got years ago, I bought a 56. And it's hard to fathom now that those guitars can be worth anywhere between $10,000 and $15,000.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually got one which I bought, and Ricky Brewster loves his story from the Angels, because in '88 I did a tour filling in for Bob Spencer, who was then the guitar player in the Angels.
Yep.
And at the end of the tour, they gave me a bonus. I think it was like $1,000 or something like that, which is, you know, a lot of money in those days for a young man like me.
Sure.
I was 24, so I went straight down the guitar shop in Sandringham in Victoria, and I knew this junior was in there, and I bought it for I think $1,200.
Wow.
So I mean, that's a 56 junior, single pickup, single cutaway, and you know, years later, I've used it all these years for recording. I used to use it in the encores of my previous band, which was called Jimmy the Human and Spectre 7.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember seeing in New York when I was going over there a lot to play, and I'm in a guitar shop, and I looked up, and there's one in a glass cabinet, you know, like with alarms around it and stuff. It's like, you know, do not touch. And the guy said, "Oh, that's a real 56 there. It's, you know, in pristine condition." I'm like, "Yeah, I've got one at home, actually." And the guy's like, I could see he just didn't believe me. He's like, "Oh, sure you do," you know. So I actually, that's probably, anytime I do a recording, I wheel that out for pretty much all the rhythm parts and some of the solos, and I just have a guitar which has been my main guitar since I really started in the game, and it's a red Les Paul, like a Sunburst, and I've got a gold top as well. Mm-hmm. And I bought both of those guitars probably around the mid '80s when they were like $600 each.
Yeah,
and
right.
They're both around 72, 73, and they're kind of like, even though they're like not the great era for Les Pauls, they're my favourite guitars. Mm-hmm. So I wheel them out for solos and stuff like that. And I recently met a guy online who has a secret stash of old Gibson T-top pickups, if you know what I'm talking about there.
Yeah.
They're the ones after the PAFs, which basically were through the 60s and into the early 70s.
Right, yeah.
And he sold them off, so I bought a few of them off him at a pretty reasonable price, you know, compared to a PAF. And I've put them in those guitars now, and they sound fantastic.
That's great, man. Yeah, I was going to ask, have you swapped out any parts due to necessity on those older guitars?
Well, those old guitars, like the Juniors, for example, no. I mean, the one that I use mainly actually had the bridge changed already on it, and so I changed it back to a bridge that was more in keeping with the original wraparound bridge. Somebody put a stop tail tailpiece on a tune-o-matic bridge. But I used to change stuff around a lot in the 80s and 90s because they didn't seem like old guitars then. They were just kind of like second-hand guitars.
Yeah.
But as time's progressed, I've put a lot of them back to, I guess, original spec.
Okay.
Just because it seems more in keeping with what they are.
Yeah, cool. Nice.
Well, I've got more guitars in a sense. It's not good around my place. So,
sounds like a good problem though. If it's a problem, it's
it is. But it's all over now. But you know, I spent a lot of time in my early days just playing the Les Paul, and then when I got a Paul Reed Smith, that was a real game changer for me because it had so many more sounds. You know, the original design with the Strat sounds and stuff in it as well. Yep. And I used one of them a lot. But even in the recent years, a couple of years ago, I got interested in SGs again, and just because the original Jets catalogue, the first two albums that I didn't do, Richie played an SG, and so a lot of the solos are really up at the high end of the neck.
Okay.
And I just liked the way that you could get up there and have all that access.
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
So I bought a couple of SGs about 5 years ago,
mm-hmm.
but that was a thing I went through. I still got them too, fortunately.
Yeah, cool. Now, you first joined the Jets, I think, if I'm right, it was around 95. You did a few years there. Is that correct?
It was actually earlier than that. It was 93.
Oh, okay.
93. So I came into it mid. The band was still in America, and as Dave often says, once the band got to America, the wheels were completely falling off.
Okay.
The lineup, and I originally came in to do a 3-week tour while Richie was recovering from an illness. He got an infection in America when he got a piercing.
Okay.
And he just basically never came back. So I came in to do 3 weeks, and then 4 weeks, then 5, then a month. A couple of months went past, and then we had to record. And so I actually came into the band mid-Tear of Thought. So the album Tear of Thought, which is the second album, which Richie recorded, that had done pretty much nothing in Australia because our overseas when it was released. They might have sold 3,000 copies. I'm not kidding. So we toured Tear of Thought and worked that back up until it was, I think, a gold record at the time, and released a couple of singles. I think we released Tunnel, which I think re-recorded with some guitar parts on.
Okay.
Helping Hand, I think that was the same.
Yeah, cool.
And so I came in at that period. So that's 93, and then did what they call the Gorilla album, which was the self-titled album. So I recorded that one, and then I recorded World Gone Crazy, and then I left the band at the end of the 90s for a few years there, and came back about 9 years ago.
Okay, yep. Very cool. That's a very cool history. So you, when you finished up, you sort of jumped pretty much into your solo career, or resumed your solo career at that stage.
Yeah, I mean, I'd kind of gone through, you know, how far down the rabbit hole do you want to go? But when I left the band, there was multiple things going on, and I decided, well, you know, my life's plan wasn't at that stage to join the Screaming Jets, as much as I was enjoying myself. And Dave and I had always remained close. You know, we were tight right from the start. But you know, I went off and started doing my solo thing again, and I made a blues album. I actually made an acoustic album, and then went over to New York and stayed there for a couple of months, just playing like blues and folk cafes. This kind of like little album I'd made, and that's kind of the next thing that I did. And that was good, really good for me. I did a bit of travel. I went to Ireland and played a festival over there, and I just did bits and pieces. Mm-hmm. But in those years, I made a whole bunch of like homemade records. You know, some of the blues bands, some just, you know, like acoustic things, and really pushed the independent music thing, which was what I'd always done. And yeah, so I was busy doing that, and even Dave, you know, was coming around a lot when the band were in Melbourne. He'd stay with me sometimes, and we even then worked up an album for him, like a solo record, while the Jets were off the road. And we did a record called Wanted Man, which is kind of a solo album, but it's like me and him on the record. And so I was pretty fruitful in that time, but eventually. I came back to the band because I actually had time to do both in a respect. I mean, Izzy Osmanagvik was playing in the band. He's a great guitar player, yeah. But he was going through some stuff, and he left the band, and I don't know, it was kind of pretty natural that I might probably come back, you know, because of my relationship with Dave, I suppose.
Yeah, cool. That's cool. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the life of a working musician, though, isn't it? Like, you've got to juggle a bunch of gigs usually to make to make ends meet and to keep that job rolling along. Yeah, so well,
You're
that's
absolutely
cool.
right. That's right. Yeah. And that's kind of what went down.
When you talk about your blues career, I mean that's been very successful. It's been award-winning in the States.
Yeah. I mean, I'm only one of two foreigners to have won the International Blues Challenge in Memphis.
Fantastic.
So that was 2005, I think. And you got to win it. You got to be the Blues Performer of the Year in your own state and country. So I went through all of that business. I didn't think I'd win it. I just was doing it for a good time. It was just a thing.
Uh-huh.
And then you go over and play the festival in Memphis, which is a week long, and they have judges at all the gigs, and they kind of whittle it down. And yeah, I went over there as a soloist, and they call it two divisions now. Like there's a band division and a solo duo division. But I think when I went, they didn't. I think they just had an open thing. I might be wrong. Anyway, but the short version of the story is that I just won the thing. So for a year in America, I was the unsigned Blues Performer of the Year, which meant I went on all the major TV shows. I went on like Good Morning Atlanta and all these kind of like things that you see on the internet or on TV. I was like the guest on all these shows because I was this novelty. I was like a white guy from Australia who'd come over and won a blues award in America, which was, I looked like the opposite of what I still had long hair in those days. And yeah, so it was a good time, and I think I did a couple of months in the States after Memphis. I came back for maybe 6 weeks, and then I went back and did a 3-month tour. So we literally drove everywhere from literally Michigan all the way down to Florida, and then flew over to Portland, Oregon, and then played the other side for a while. So I did loads and loads of gigs, and played. I had a band that, like a put-together band that a guy called Gary Rasmussen helped me out with. He's a great bass player.
Yeah.
He was from the Detroit scene. He plays in Jackson Brown's band, and
okay, that's where I know that name.
All the guys from the MC5 and all that Detroit era, he was part of that whole thing.
Yeah, awesome.
And he was a great man. I had such a good time with Gary. It was a really good tour.
Very cool, very cool. And you play mandolin as well. Hey, that's maybe a lesser known thing about you, but on your acoustic albums.
Yeah, I'm a keen mandolin player now. I call it my second instrument now.
Yeah, right.
So I'll go and do the folk festivals here and there, play mandolin for people. Not even take a guitar sometimes.
Yeah, cool. How'd you get into that?
It was just hanging around America. And I always liked the mandolin. Actually, no, that's not true. I bought a good mandolin in America, but it might be interesting to know that the most famous mandolin maker in the world lives in Victoria, Australia.
Yeah.
And that's Stephen Gilchrist.
Okay.
And in America, he's like famous for being the guy that can make the closest mandolin to a 20s F5, which is, for guitar players, imagine you've got a guy who can make a Les Paul to spec to a 59 and make it sound and look exactly right, to the point where it's exact. It's kind of that kind of equation.
Okay.
And he's a great guy, and he works out sort of Warrnambool way out of town in a workshop. And I always knew about him. And years ago, I bought one of his guitars. I think he's made like 4 or 5 electric guitars when he was younger, trying to work out whether he would do that before he sort of got into mandolins. And I went round to his workshop with one that I bought at a music store in the city. I think he did some work on it for me. And he said to me, "Did you ever hear any good mandolin play?" I was like, "No, not really." It just wasn't my thing at the time. And he made me a cup of coffee and played me some records. And I got to say, these mandolin players in the 50s and 60s were doing what guitar players were trying to do in the 70s, like kind of like rip it up on the instrument.
Yeah, wow.
And I couldn't believe how well they played.
Uh-huh.
And I sort of got the bug around them. And I ended up buying one of his mandolins, which probably the cheapest one that he makes because they're worth a lot of money. But I bought a second-hand one when I was in the States then, years later. And when I was in New York, I started going down to, they have they call them old-timey and bluegrass jams. They kind of happen on a Monday or Tuesday night at most of the Irish bars downtown, like around the college and stuff. And I started going and hanging out at these places, and people would just turn up and have like legit jams with banjos, mandolins, and guitars and fiddles and stuff. It wasn't necessarily bluegrass, but they would just sit around and play these old tunes, And I just loved the scene, and in a very short time, I kind of started working out my mandolin chops, enough that I could sort of sit in and play along with these crew and drink a beer or two. So
great,
that was kind of how it started. And then I just got into it. I never saw it coming, but I kind of just became I like the instrument more and more as I kind of start to understand it. So
cool.
So it's been good.
Does any of that stuff, I don't know, if any of the technique or the approach, does any of that rub off onto your guitar playing, or is it just a totally different animal?
I don't know, because I got to say, for a while there, my brain couldn't see the mandolin fretboard for what it was, because it's basically tuned like a violin.
Yeah, it's like
the
upside
same instrument,
down,
but with double string. You can think of it as an upside down guitar, but in actual fact, you do yourself a disservice, because all your root notes, all your deep notes then aren't going to sound right. Because if you're looking at the high notes and going, okay, well that's, the high string is E, so an E chord must be, well, that doesn't work, because the E chord is not a good resounding chord on the mandolin, because the bottom string is a G. So you need to start thinking about, well, the root or the good sounding open chord is an open G, and you work your way up from there.
Yeah.
But once your brain sort of starts to, I don't know, see it like that, it actually makes more sense,
Okay.
So it took me a while before that really happened. I struggled to do any improvising on it at all for the longest time. And then it started to become more and more clear as my hands got used to where everything was, I suppose.
Yeah, cool. Do you have that thing, like when you play, when you're playing an open chord, it looks like an inverse version of a guitar chord? Did you force yourself to learn what they were actually called on the mandolin, or?
Yeah, at first I struggled, but eventually I made myself do it, and I wrote a little. I wrote like a little textbook for myself of shapes and things that as I learned them. So I didn't have a book. I read a few magazines and bits and pieces, but the information wasn't that freely available about how to play the mandolin, really. And I bought some records, some CDs, and I kind of like copied a few things to get my hands going. But basically, I wrote myself a little textbook and started to do like a study on it. I'm a nerd. That's the kind of stuff I would do,
Yeah, cool.
So so you have to, even if you're looking at the high string and making that, like how you're seeing the chord, you look at it like a little triad. You've kind of got the high note, which let's, for argument's sake, call that the root note, and then the next thing you finger would be the third, and then you've actually got like an octave. So it's kind of different, because you don't kind of play like a root and a five like you would on a guitar. You kind of play a root and a third, and then the other notes sort of after that. So it's a bit of a backward kind of thing,
Cool, man. That's awesome, though. That's a whole other world that you've brought into your playing, which is awesome.
I didn't really play a lot of instruments. I played a bit of piano because we grew up playing piano.
Okay.
But once I got a mandolin, I actually I felt pretty happy with myself that I kind of had taken on a second instrument at one point. It's like, wow, look at me, I'm a multi-instrumentalist.
That's it. Put that on your resume.
Yeah.
Which you should. Excellent.
So I made a mandolin record. I actually recorded an album. So I actually did a whole album of mandolin, sort of blues and bluegrass. And just a thing. It took me like 7 years to make it. I did it like, chipping away at home on my Pro Tools. Yeah. And actually it became the Carolina Mandolin Society's album of the month, 1 month.
There you go.
So people in Carolina don't even think of me as a guitar player. He's a mandolin player.
He's a mandolin playing guy, from Australia. Very cool, man. That's awesome. What's the best way for people to catch up with your stuff? I mean, I'll talk about the Jets again in a second, but with your own solo stuff like these albums you're telling us about.
Do you know what? It's been a confusing time to work that out. I actually, of course, I've got a website, which is my name, jimihocking.com, and I've had distribution for these things in the past, which I don't have right now. Mm-hmm. I even had them on iTunes. I took them off last year, so I just didn't figure that was how I wanted to do it at the time. And so now I sell them at gigs or through a mail order company called somersaultmusic.com.au. Okay. So they can get them to you. Or because I do the festivals a lot, I actually sell a lot of CDs at festivals. So that's kind of been just the way I do it. But if you email me, I can put people, on the right track, or even take care of it myself. That's kind of what I'm currently doing. So I'll probably rethink this next year, but that's what I've been doing lately. I think everybody's working out how to do CD sales these days.
Yeah, sure.
Such a changing playing field,
Yeah, for sure. Hey, back to the Jets. Well, an album.
We better talk about that, because my manager will be ringing up saying, "Listen, we're not here to talk about you."
Oh man, it's great. So the Radio Rock Riot, I already said it's in August and September. When does the album come out? Your Great Australian Covers record come out?
Do you know what? I wish I knew, because there might be a release date for all I know, but I'm afraid I don't know it.
Okay, that's fine.
let's assume it'll be coming out as we at least launch that tour, because that would make sense.
Yeah, it'd be before the tour, I guess, yeah.
But they're mixing it as we speak. That's
okay.
as I'm sitting here talking to you, they're actually mixing that record right now.
Yeah, cool. Can you tell us any of the tunes you guys covered?
I suppose I can tell you. Did anybody mention it's a secret, or is it? Or
no one.
I'll tell you what the ones we recorded. We whittled it down to 20 songs, and then we did pre-production on all of those songs. Then we threw out a couple that we just didn't think came together in the way that we'd liked, and we recorded 17 songs, and we will release. I think there's going to be 13 or 15 songs on the record. That's what we were banding around.
Yep.
But I can tell you some of the favourites. Like there's some unlikely ones. We did. Actually, we recorded a Midnight Oil song I always liked called "Back on the Borderline." One of the older catalogue.
Yeah,
so we did that one. That was a great song to record, and I must say, even Tim Rogers wrote a song called "Purple Sneakers," which we recorded that.
You and my
and I was amazed how well it came up. And all day, after I recorded the guitar parts, I just had the song in my head. It was like, you know what? I was saying to David, that is a great song because I can't get it out of my head now. That's, And what else was there? I mean, there's I'll put my list in front of me now. I mean, can you believe I just recorded these like 2 days ago? There was Rain. We did things like things came up that were kind of you might have expected, from the public's perspective.
Yeah.
And Dragon, Rain, the Radiators, Give Me Head came up.
Okay.
What else?
Did you do any Angels? I wonder, given Dave's connection with them now.
Yeah, we did, and of course I have a connection with them. We're all great friends. Yeah. So we did Shadow Boxer, but we changed the arrangement just a little bit.
Okay.
Just for a thing.
Yeah, cool.
We also did a reworking of Shane Howard's or the Goanna Band's Razor's Edge, Living on a Razor's Edge.
Yep.
I don't remember that one. We made that like a rock song.
Great.
And so there's a couple of things we gave a treatment to, but a lot of things, all we had to do to make them sound like us was kind of play them.
Yeah.
And suddenly by default, we had this new thing, and I put solos on some things here and there, as did Scotty, that really didn't have anything like that. We played one which we loved was Stevie Wright's Guitar Band. We recorded that.
Classic.
And even as I went off to do the Port Fairy Folk Festival while they were still recording the album without me, we had a couple of people come in and guest. Stewie Fraser came down.
Nice.
Noiseworks Stewie. He hasn't been well.
How's he doing? Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah, he seems to be doing okay. I'm not really sure, but he's a great man. And we had him play on this as a guest on Guitar Band.
That's cool.
I think Kemi Hemwood came down.
Mm-hmm.
I think we had a couple of people just because we thought it would be fun to have like one of those long guitar solos with like literally 6 people all coming to play. So we did that. Well, I hope we use it, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And we also did Wedding Ring, the old E.T. Beats tune.
Okay, yeah.
And we did an AC/DC song. We did Rock and Roll Damnation.
Yeah.
So there was some really good... the Walls, the old Icehouse song, Walls.
Oh, okay.
From the actual Icehouse album, and they were called Flowers.
The Flowers, yes.
Yeah.
That's very cool. We must be a similar age. I know all these tunes from the radio. So
no, you sound young. I'm not sure.
Really?
I'm the oldest guy in the Screaming Jets. I can tell you that. So I want more respect from those guys. I have to say. It's not working out for me. I've got to tell you, it's not working out.
Hang in there. Do they know you play Mando? You've played Mando on their stuff, haven't you?
Oh yeah, actually. There's been a few tracks over the years, even as far back as the Gorilla album.
Yeah. There
was an acoustic track on there called Impossible. So Warmo was in the band then. So Warmo played guitar and Dave sang, and I played mandolin.
Yeah.
I think that was the first time I ever recorded a mandolin.
There you go.
So that was that's 25 years ago or something. 20 years ago.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, man, Jimmy, thanks so much for your time. Really great to...
Oh, pleasure.
Great to meet you and chat about this stuff. Not only... I mean, the Screaming Jets are such an integral part of the Australian rock landscape, and obviously you've had a long history with those guys, but your own stuff as well. Great to hear about both sides of the Jimi Hocking coin.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for asking about it and stuff like that. I mean, it's a symbiotic thing because people don't realise that even apart from my own thing, the Screaming Jets, for the most part of their career, have been an independent band. I think people don't know that.
Uh-huh.
Our first major record deal with Ruab was they were considered an independent label at the time.
Yeah, right. Yep.
And even now, for the latter part of our career, we're a self-financed band. You know, we record our albums off our own money. We've done it independently. And yes, we're fortunate that we have a following and all the rest of that. But effectively, we are just working as an indie band at a larger scale, I suppose. Yeah, right. So that's kind of been our ethos for a long time. So, you know, it's nice that we get support from people like your good selves who take an interest in what we're doing and have a chat with us about that. So thank you very much.
All right, there you go. Jimi Hocking, great guy. And yeah, I was very happy to meet him and talk about the Jets and his own solo work and all that stuff. In fact, Jimmy had just driven 3 or 4 hours the afternoon before to play a gig that night. Spoke to me in the morning. Was just about to get kicked out of his hotel room. And had another gig that night before heading home to his young family. So yeah, really appreciate his time and what a great guitar conversation that was. All right, next up, as promised, Adam Eckersley and Brooke McClymont come out with a great new record, Brooke and Adam. And yeah, the writing's great, the production's fantastic, self-produced, I must say. And there's some excellent guitar moments too. So it was fun to talk about all these things. So let's head straight over.
Matt, thank you so much for holding. You've got Brooke and Adam on the line now.
Great, thank you very much.
How are you going?
Hi, Brooke. G'day, Adam. How are you guys?
Good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, doing well. Thanks for your time. Thanks for joining us on the Guitar Speak podcast.
Hey, yeah, thanks for having us, mate.
Awesome, very cool. Hey, congratulations on the new album. I've been digging into it over the last week or so, and it's fantastic.
Oh, thanks heaps, man.
Thank you. It's been great to listen to. Now, you guys don't usually work together. Of course, you're married, but you've got your own gigs. Obviously, Brooke with the McClymonts and Adam with fronting your own band. Can you talk us through how you found the window of time to make this album?
Oh gosh, we kind of just jumped on the chance. We've always wanted to do something, but we never together like an album. Yep. But we thought, no, we're never going to get to it until we're about 60 years old. You know, we always thought it was going to be a long, long time away. Like when we were in our, you know, when we were kind of near the end of, you know, of our own band. But no, my sisters were the two of them are having babies. So I was like, well, what am I going to do for 10 months? I'm not having any more babies. And I was like, you know, so we just jumped on the chance and so we're like, well, let's do this now. Here's our window of opportunity, and this is never going to come around again.
Yeah.
And that's when we basically just got in and got stuck into the songwriting, and then we went into the recording studio and started recording our album, which, you know what, we're super proud of.
Yeah,
we love it.
Man, you should be. It's so good. I mean, you guys have got a young family as well. So how does the writing process work with your schedule? Or lack thereof. Whatever. How are you doing?
Yeah, well, on this particular album, we had to kind of abandon Sensible for a period of time because, generally speaking, when we're off the road, you know, we'll just do the normal family stuff and hang out. But we did, because we didn't have the luxury of time to just sit around and wait for the songs to arrive. We had to be awake and present at all crazy hours. So we do the family thing, get the daughter to bed, and then go up to the shed and just have a beer and sit there and try and write. And we did that, you know, nearly every night. And we just were throwing ideas out really quickly and shooting ideas down, and which it was a good process actually. We both kind of like a tight time frame and working under pressure a little bit.
Yep. Have you guys worked together? Have you written much together in previous years?
We have, yeah, quite a bit for both of our individual projects and also for other people. So we kind of know how we work and what our strengths are, and also too we can bypass being sensitive when we're delivering a bit of feedback on a line or an idea, and that's all too often that's what makes co-writing, you know, a drawn out process, is because you got to dance around people's feelings, whereas we can just go, nah, that is not very good, let's move along.
Yeah, nice, very cool. Now you guys self-produced the album. Where was it recorded?
Oh, we recorded at McQuaver Studios up at Byron Bates, owned by Nick Dedea and Bernard Fenny.
Okay. Yeah.
But again, because of the kind of the time frame, we kind of had to take the studio space when we could. And Nick, who's produced stuff for Adam Eckersley Band before, he's a champion. He was actually in America at the time, and that was what prompted Brooke and I to go, well, you know what, maybe we have a go at producing this thing ourselves. And we're stoked that we did. It was a great experience, and we found we worked well together too, so that was a lot of fun. Nick, you know, we rang him before we went in the studio, got some advice and stuff like that, but there was plenty of ideas and stuff getting thrown around just the two of us. It might have been a hard task for a third person anyway.
Okay, yep. And did you find, like, from just rolling on from the songwriting, you're in a good space to think about the production as a team?
Totally. We done a lot of pre-pro, sort of just talking about how we wanted the songs, and we worked. The guys that recorded are all in Adam Eckersley Band. Plus, we had Michelle Rose on pedal steel,
Nice.
So we kind of knew all the guys. It made that whole process of communication and letting them know what we wanted, and they had great ideas and stuff too. It made it all pretty easy, really.
Yeah, cool. Man, I love the production. I think it was just such a nice mix of being raw, but you know, clever parts and great tones throughout the record.
Oh, thanks, man.
For sure. I was going to ask who was on pedal. I was wondering if it was Michelle. That was great. I loved what did he play on Love on the Loose, and a couple other tracks of the pedal.
Man, he's awesome.
Yeah. I had the privilege of sitting in on a session on Jane Denham's first record, and he just popped in for an hour, blasted out, I don't know, half a dozen tunes and got out of there. It was amazing. To see.
He's so quick, and all the boys just, you know, played awesomely. The bed tracks were all, the body of the album was recorded in 3 days, and then Brooke and I just went back into the studio for a few more days when Nick was back from America and finished our vocals off. So we did 3 days pre-pro before, which was awesome because we knew what we had to do once we got to the studio.
Yep. Cool. Who else is playing on the record?
Ben Elliott played drums.
Yeah.
Mitch Cairns played bass.
Yeah, cool.
Kim Bear played guitar.
Yeah.
And Dan Biederman played Hammond and piano.
Oh, yeah.
And I played electric and stuff, and Michelle.
Yeah, great. Brooke, did you play at all on this time round?
You know what, I played when we were you know, laying the tracks down. So, but then the boys came in after and they, you know, done them properly.
Sure.
Redone the acoustic tracks, yeah.
Okay, cool. Is there some Mando? I thought I heard some Mando on Lay With Me. Or am I just imagining that?
Yeah, that was Michelle as well.
Oh, cool. Talented man. Very, very cool. Very cool.
Very talented man. Yep.
Man, there's some great guitar moments. So, Adam, is that you on the? You said you played the electric. Is that you doing most of the parts I'm hearing?
Yeah, majority of the electrics was me. Kim Bear played a bit of electric as well.
Yeah.
We done some harmony stuff together and what have you.
Yeah, man, I like the harmonies.
The solos.
Sorry to jump in. I was going to say, yeah, I love the harmonies on Trainwreck, and I think there was someone So Smooth as well, or Octave Lines sometimes.
Yeah, I love all that Allman Brothers stuff and that harmony guitar stuff. I just love it. So we snuck a little bit of that in there as well.
Yeah, cool. Loved it. Hey, great tones on something like So Smooth. Do you remember what you're playing or how you pulled that guitar tone for the solo?
I think I was playing just my standard Strat, and I got a feeling I may have been plugged straight into one of Nick's. Possibly I was into one of Nick's Marshall heads, and just did a Marshall cab. I think a lot of it was just my standard Strat through my Hot Rod DeVille.
Okay, yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Are you running any pedals? Like something like So Smooth's a bit gainier. I guess that's the Marshall, perhaps.
Yeah.
Goosing that a bit.
Yeah. I usually run a Tube Screamer. I generally speak and have my Tube Screamer on just a little bit all the time, just a bit of dirt on the rhythm sound, and then I've usually run another Tube Screamer actually with the drive kind of fully off and the volume fully up for a boost.
Uh-huh.
And then for my sort of more overdriven stuff, I've got an OCD pedal that I usually bring into it. I can't exactly remember what combinations were on what songs, but that's kind of my pedal board setup, and we tried a few different heads and what have you. But stuff like the outro of, or the whole song of Highway Sky, where it's kind of the big jam session, that was we had my amp just kind of in the kitchen of the studio, just cranked to the boards, and that was just my tube screamer and my OCD.
That's great. Now, I love that track. Yeah, I wanted to mention that one. It was one of those classic fade outs where you're straining because the guitar player's still cutting loose over the end, so I was straining as the track was fading away. Loved it.
Yeah, the jam went for forever. We recorded that one at the end of each night, just because it was one of them songs that was just so free that we just did it every night and picked the best one.
Yep. Nice. They had some cool harmonised leads as well. How do you guys write those parts?
But that was actually Kim Bear's line, the riff at the start of Highway Sky.
Yep.
He came up with that. It was an awesome riff, and then harmonised it, and it just sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's neat. A lot of fun. Hey, just stepping back a gear, talking about the songwriting again. I read a review, and I'm interested to see what you think. The idea was that it's kind of saying Adam brings a blues rock influence, whereas Brooke brings more of a pop sensibility. Listening to something like One Man, that to me sounds like very soulful pop, if we're going to call it anything. But is that an overgeneralization, or is there any truth in that statement?
It probably is a fairly broad one. We kind of take different roles in different songs, really. Brooke, as a rule, has just got such a great ear for hooks and melodies, and quite often it just works out that she'll ensure that those things are in the song, whereas I pay less attention to that. And I sort of love trying to establish a story and all that sort of stuff. But we kind of swap roles, from song to song, really.
Okay.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So, Brooke, are you arranging, say, the BVs on something like One Man?
Yeah, I did I did majority of BVs, and all the oohs, just the padding of the vocals, I put all the little sprinkle of the there, just because I felt like it, and I could.
That's great. I love those parts. They were very cool.
Yeah, he's good.
Nice.
No, we love it. We're really proud of this record, and everyone seems to be really enjoying it, which is a great thing.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, you guys are busy. Like, talk about not taking your time off for granted to do another project. Like, you've been on the road since mid-February, so as we record this is about a month on, but you look pretty booked solid through till July at least.
Yeah, we're going as far north as Cairns.
Yep.
We're going over to Western Australia and down to South Australia, Victoria. We're driving everywhere. We're doing the Nullarbor and stuff, and which is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to take our daughter on some of the runs with us and stuff as well. And so it's a good opportunity for us to get to some places where we haven't been before, and some we have been before, and what have you. Yeah,
that's great. That sounds like the ultimate family working holiday, playing a bunch of gigs and
it's pretty cool.
Nice. Hey, next weekend you're at Grafton, I think. Is that Brooke's hometown?
Yeah, and I lived here for about 6 years as well. We're actually in Grafton now. We've got to go to the Gold Coast tomorrow, but we've got 2 shows on the Friday, Saturday night this week coming, which will be great.
Cool. Now, these shows, it must be a lot of fun for first out getting to play these tunes for an audience. That's got to be fun.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah, no, we're loving it. We've sort of done a couple of shows with the full band, but the majority of the tour is just the 2 of us.
Yeah.
And which has been fun arranging the stuff so it works, just the 2 of us as well, and filling it out and what have you. And getting the opportunity to tell the stories behind the songs and stuff as we go, which is great as well.
Yeah, nice. It was funny listening to the record. I felt like I was listening to some conversations that were a little private at times.
Yeah, well, we definitely, there was no boundaries as far as what we could write about, and we just, didn't shy away from anything, the good and the bad and the in-between of married life and, stuff we're witnessing and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, it was a good, fun thing to write.
Yeah, cool. So when you're putting together the acoustic shows, what guitars do you take on the road?
Both of us play Mate and 808s.
Oh, okay, nice.
I just love it. The little body's good to get over them, solo on and stuff, but the AP5's just such a great pickup and, preamp and whatever, and it's just bloody, I just, hard to beat.
Yeah, they're fantastic. Are you running the new AP5s with the little microphone inside the body as well?
I've got a guitar with that in it, but my kind of everyday guitar's not. It's probably 13, 14 years old, and I just love it. It's well worn in, and
yeah, nice.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Nice. And are you guys doing any processing, or are you just running straight into the PA?
Just straight in. I've got a LR bags with a bit of a boost on it, so I sort of just boost for the solos. But other than that, it's just straight into the PA, and there's a stomp, two DIs for acoustics and 2 vocals. Pretty simple.
Perfect, man. The sound guys must love you when you're rolling.
Yeah, that's it. Easy mix.
It seems it's early days of your tour, I guess, and the album's just come out, but it sounds like you're having a great time. Is this something you'd like to continue on even when the McClymonts, get back together and the Adam Eckersley Band's back on the road?
For sure. We'll do this kind of for as long as we can. We'll obviously pick different times in between our other projects when time allows and stuff. But whenever we get a chance down the track, we'll do it again.
Excellent. That's great. So good. What's the best way for people to know what dates you're playing and when they're coming near?
Our website, which is adamandbrookmusic.com.
Yep.
That has all the dates and links to our social media stuff, our Instagram and Facebook, and all that's got the all the dates and locations and ticket details and all that stuff on it.
Yep. Great. Excellent. Anything else we should know about the tour or the album that you want us to know about?
Not really. Just come and check out a show. We want to sort of play these songs to as many people as possible, as everybody does. But
sure.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Well, hey, congratulations to you both. Again, it's such a great record, and we're a guitar podcast, so I love the songwriting, but the guitar parts were a lot of fun to check out too. So congratulations all around.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, cool.
Guitars are cool.
They are cool. I'm with you guys, 100%. All right. Well, hey, thank you.
Yeah, man.
Thank you so much for joining me,
Thank
and
you.
looking forward to catch you when. Are you rolling back around into Sydney? I think you've had some dates.
Yeah.
We've got Lead Belly. I think maybe in April, and Brass Monkey. Yeah.
Yep. Cool. All right. Hope to catch you guys there then. That'd be
So if
great.
you get a chance, come and say good day.
Yeah, we'll do for sure. Yeah, cool. All right. Thanks, Brooke and Adam. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, mate.
Okay.
Awesome, mate. Champion. Thanks heaps.
Cheers. See ya. All right, there you go. My conversation with Adam Eckersley and Brooke McClymont. Really great people. And if you live anywhere in Australia, there's a pretty good chance they'll be touring near you over the next couple of months. So look out for that. I really hope to catch them at Lead Belly, which I've got to say is such a fantastic venue in Sydney. Big shout out to those people there. All right, moving along for our final interview of this epic episode, number 79 of the Guitar Speak podcast. Ian Cook from V-Trem Guitars. I met Ian probably about 18 months ago, and just recently caught up with him to talk about all things V-Trem. Now, really, he's rethought out the locking tremolo system. Locking nut, locks at the bridge, does all the crazy dive bomb stuff, does all the crazy pull-up stuff as well. But what's really clever about this design is that the home or the resting place is super solid. It's as if you're playing a Floyd that's recessed flush to the body, like Eddie Van Halen might do so. Now, I know lots of people love the full floating trem, and it's a fantastic piece of gear, but I don't know, like for me, I've played, my main guitar's a Strat style, Frankenstein, and I've had that trem blocked for at least 15 years, and I've loved it ever since. It feels really solid, and I really miss trem, but a fixed tail bridge for me just feels great for everything else, for right hand dynamics and attacks. So I was really interested in this design. I went out and visited Ian at his place, checked out all these different models of guitars, and got the backstory. So here we go, let's jump in. Ian Cook from V-Trem Guitars. Ian Cook, welcome to the Guitar Speak podcast.
Thank you, Matt. Welcome here.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me around. This is very cool. It's a very cool space. So we're going to talk about the V-Trem and your patented design, which is awesome. If we back up a little though, what got you into guitars in the first place?
Well, I don't know. Just friends were playing, and I wanted to join in, and
Yep.
they got me into it.
Yeah,
and then
cool.
I used to think, well, I want something that's not floating, but I can pull up on too. So,
Okay,
so I just came up with the idea of it's basically a hinge that pulls up when you pull up on it.
Yeah, cool. So you were using like Floyd Rose style bridges?
Yeah, non-floating. I could never really get the hang of a floating bridge. So.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's interesting. Hey, like Van Halen, he always had his flush to the body.
Yeah.
And then other players, would float them as well. I had some floating bridges back in the 80s and early 90s, and I loved them.
Yeah.
But as soon as I blocked one, it just always felt much better.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, I could never really get the hang of it. It's just it's a bit hard thing to do to get.
How long were you playing though before you thought, oh, hang on, I could do something better with this design?
Probably 20 years, something like that.
Yeah, okay. So it was like a long-term
Yeah.
thing. Had you done any engineering or any other?
No, nothing like that.
No, just thought
Yep.
this needs to fix. Wow. So what was the start? How do you start redesigning a bridge?
I did a few prototypes and they didn't really work that well. And then one day I came up with a hinge idea and I put it on the guitar and it worked.
Okay.
And then over the years I've improved on it, and now it seems to be just about right now.
That's great.
Yeah.
So if I've followed your work correctly, so you want all the benefits of a like a tremolo bridge, but on a flat base.
Yes, like a non-floating.
Non-floating.
tremolo.
Yeah, that's the term.
But because it's a hinge, you can pull up on it too, and it's got a booster spring inside to make it easier to pull up.
Okay. Now you've got a patent for this.
Yeah.
That's awesome. How do you go about getting a patent?
I pay a lot of money to a patent officer. Really, that's about it.
Yeah, but does that also that guarantees that your work is unique in some way?
Yeah, after 5 years they examine it, and if nothing's close to it, that's locked in then.
Okay. Yeah. So how far along in the 5 years?
Oh, it's been 8 years.
Oh,
now,
so you're well past. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's when they give you the patent?
They give you the patent at first, but
Yep.
it's not really a sure thing until they do the final examination on it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people who've patented an entirely new bridge system.
Yeah, it's quite a lot of money involved there, but
Yep. But cool. So that means if anyone now uses your idea, they are then bound.
only in Australia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
it's not an international patent. It's just Australia.
okay, yep. So then anyone within Australia would need to pay license fees to adopt this idea. Wow, cool. Looks great. How would you explain it differing to say a Floyd Rose? Is it again just the hinge idea?
Yeah, that's basically it. It's all the dimensions and everything are the same as a Floyd. Yeah. But the only difference is that it's got two plates and the top plate lifts up.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That looks very cool. The for our listeners, I'll post heaps of pictures on our blog site and social media stuff, so you can have a look and some links to Ian's site. But yeah, it looks like a Floyd, but it seems to have a slightly longer base towards the rear. Where the
Yeah, I had to
fine
make
tuners
it longer because didn't really feel right when it was shorter, so I extended it at the back a bit, and then it was about right.
Okay.
Had the right feel then.
Cool. Now you've got one of your Strat style V-Trem guitars here.
Yeah.
Plugged in. Can you give us a demo of some of the range?
You can do all the sort of things that you can do with a regular non-floating trem, like dive bombs. Things like that. You can also pull up on it too. Like that.
Yeah, cool. That's
And
a big range.
the beauty of it, like a non-floating trem, is you can really dig into riffs and things. You can go.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. I guess that's what I was saying with my complaint with the floating bridge. Yeah, when you really lay into it, you're pushing
and
stuff
things
sharp
like
and
unison bends, like you don't have to bend that first finger, because with a floating trem you always got to bend it a little bit because it'll drop in pitch.
Yeah, definitely.
When you bend the other string, and
yeah.
So it's basically just like a non-floating trem.
Wow, that's
with
awesome.
the pull-up option.
Cool. If you break a string, what happens then? Does the whole tension?
No, it should be enough just to hold it still in tune with one string broken.
Okay.
It actually depends how tight you adjust the back springs. So.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. So you've got, again with the hinge system, you've got it set for pulling up or pushing down.
Yeah.
Can you adjust the tension for the action? Like normally, like in an old school trem, you would tighten those 3 springs or loosen them a bit.
Yeah. Well, it's exactly the same as a normal trem.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Everything at the back's all the same.
Cool. And what about the pull-up action? Is that?
Well, it's got a booster spring inside.
Yeah.
You can adjust that with the tension with washers, but you don't really need to. It's just pretty good. Gives a fairly even sort of feel.
Yeah, great. Very cool. Very cool. And how about like if you rest your hand on the bridge? Like sometimes that's an issue too.
No,
with floaters.
No, because it's not floating. It's just exactly the same.
Excellent. Such a great idea. I reckon they look super cool too. That kind of.
Yeah. Hopefully it takes off soon.
Yeah, great.
Just got to get it out there and get people to have a go of it. And
yeah, for sure. For sure. What is the next step then? Because you've got again, we'll take some photos, but you've got stacks of guitars here all fitted and good to go. So how do people get in touch with you?
Oh, I've got 3 guitars in the different shops at Sydney Guitar Setups, Jungle City at Redfern, and Village Guitar at Sutherland.
Oh, okay.
Have a go there, or they can contact me on Facebook. I'm free to give anyone a go anytime.
Okay, cool. Very good, very good. So you've got your own guitars here, the V-Trem guitars. So there's some cool designs. There's like you're playing a sort of a Stratish style. Now you've got some super Strat looking ones. There's some Les Paul style guitars too. The Les Paul, do you have to approach that differently because of the angle of the neck?
No, not really. Or it's probably a little better if it sits a little further back. I mean, further down at the back. So it's on a little bit of a slant to be in line with the body.
Yeah, cool.
And the thing with Les Pauls, you can actually put a longer a block on it, so you can make it a lot lighter too. And
okay.
Same with other, like a normal tremolo.
Cool, that's great. And if someone had a guitar they really loved, but they were really into this system, is it something you could retrofit?
You'd have to route it out a little more.
Just a little bit extra.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
All the front part will be the same, but you have to route extra out the back.
Just behind the bridge part. Yeah, sure.
So it'll fit in.
Yeah, anyone taking on something, a design as, I guess, as established as a trem, but obviously with some shortcomings in the various designs, and tackling on I think that's awesome. That's super cool. Yeah, so well done. And taking out a patent, that's great achievement as well. So very, very cool. Have you found any tonal benefits?
Because of the mass of it, it actually got quite a good tone. When you play clean, it's
cool.
It's quite a full, solid sound.
Awesome. Yeah. And again, that's like a criticism of like a full floating system, isn't it? Because you're
pretty hard to play sort of jazz and things on a floating system.
Yeah, sure. You've only got like those 2 posts connecting the whole thing to the body, but you've got a lot of mass.
Yeah, there's a lot of contact with the body, so it's going to resonate pretty well.
Cool. And what kind of metals are you using? I'm quite ignorant.
It's mild steel, and it's hardened on the ends where it meets the posts.
Okay.
It's hardened steel.
Yep.
And the rest of it's just mild steel.
Okay. Cool. And how do you go about manufacturing them? How does that work for you? Do you do them all in-house? Or?
Yeah, I've just been doing them at home. And learned how to do all the metalwork.
All the metalwork, yeah, cool. Yeah. Very good. You are a very handy man. That's awesome.
Yeah. I had this part, that's the back section where the fine tuner screws go in.
Yeah.
I had that made by a machine shop.
Okay, yeah.
So I couldn't do that at home, but the rest I did at home. It uses Floyd Rose parts. So the saddles are Floyd Rose.
Yeah.
The screws are Floyd Rose, the arms Floyd Rose, and the blocks Floyd Rose, and the springs and everything.
Okay, yep.
But the saddle screws, I had to use longer ones.
Yeah, yeah.
So it fits in with the shape of it.
Yeah, okay, yep.
That's about the only Floyd part I don't use.
Okay, yep. So where are you getting the Floyds to start with?
I'm just buying them online, and then I pull them apart and put the saddles in.
And you're kind of rebuilding.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Very cool.
So I'm stuck with a whole lot of Floyd Rose blocks. Don't know what to do with them.
Oh, so yeah, you don't need the blocks, hey?
No.
Interesting. No, it's great. I love it. So yeah. So down push, you got your traditional 3 kind of springs, or as many springs as I guess you want to shove
3 springs. Yeah.
And then you've got your other spring for the pulling back.
Yeah, that's a compression spring inside it.
It's great. Cool. Well, Anne, thank you so much. It's really cool to see your invention up close.
Coming out here and
that's
having
fun.
a look.
I remember meeting you at a Michael Dolce clinic and seeing your kind of a V inspired shaped guitar here, which is super cool.
I tried to make it look like a stealth bomber, but it ended up coming out like that.
Oh yeah,
quite different.
That's cool. What's all the switching and the options you've got on that?
It's got everything on it. It's got coil taps, phase switches, and single coil switch. Yeah, it's a little bit overdone, but it's also got LEDs to indicate where your switching's at.
Oh, okay, cool. That's awesome. That's very awesome. Have you got any other? Are there any other ideas you'd like to pursue with guitar construction, or are you just focusing on
about it? It's
the bridge is the big deal.
Yeah, it'll get more complicated if I start thinking too much about other things.
No, I love it. I love it. That, like I said, that you've taken on such an important part of the guitar and try to improve it and bring your own and ideas to it. That's really, really cool.
I always wanted to pull up, but I just couldn't handle the floating trem. So
yeah, well, I think there's a bunch of us there, so I think guitars would be well worth checking out your designs.
Yeah,
great. All right, this is Matt. Hey, this is Matt. I'm interrupting my own interview with Ian. Just tell you a little bit about the guitars. I in the next part, for a couple of minutes, I hopped on one of Ian's guitars, a very traditional Strat shape and Strat neck, humbucker in the bridge, just one single coil in the neck. But that style of guitar is pretty much home base for me, and loved it. The pickups Ian's wound himself, felt really great, sounded really great, and the trem was a lot of fun to use. So you'll hear me playing, like a 15-year-old in a music shop, which I've got to admit was a lot of fun. Ian's also working on some new bodies using Queensland maple and Australian blackwood, so it sounds really interesting. He's got some shreddier basswood guitars, 24 frets, and also some Les Paul style ones as well. So if any of this sounds interesting, really get in touch with Ian because he's got a lot of options available. All right, back to my interview.
So
the necks feel good.
Yeah.
where the home base is, hey?
Yeah.
When you feel it come back to the middle, it's like it's hitting the body, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's in the close. What do you call it? The home position or the whatever?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Wow,
Neutral
that is cool.
position.
Oh, okay. You can definitely feel when you're on down or up.
Yeah.
But I think you get used to that feel. That's great. Very cool. He does the gentle stuff nicely as well.
Yeah. Feels good when you hit it hard. Yeah.
You really can't do that on a phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Alright, that's enough. Cut it out. Hey, it's in the same key as the Guitar Speak podcast intro jam. Can you believe that? It's either a coincidence or I can only play in one key. You be the judge. Alright. Hey, my thanks to Ian Cook from V-Trem Guitars. Really great to hang out, talk about his really clever invention. Very clever guy. And there are guitars at Sydney Guitar Setups, Village Guitars at Sutherland, and Jungle Guitars in at Redfern. Or get in touch with Ian through V-Trem on Facebook, or you can drop me a line and I'll get you in touch with Ian. Either way, but definitely worth checking out if you're interested in a trem that's super stable but still able to do all the crazy stuff as well. Seems like the best of both worlds to me. Hey, my thanks also to Jimi Hocking and also Adam Eckersley and Brooke McClymont for appearing on this epic episode number 79 of the Guitar Speak podcast. Alright, there you go. Hey, if you've enjoyed the episode, why not share it on your social media? That really helps us out just to get the word out. And yeah, it's very, very much appreciated. Okay, my name's Matt Wakeling. You've been listening to the Guitar Speak podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll catch you next time. Bye now.